Today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to tear down this box, which I recently bought in a lot with some other stuff at an auction. And it's a fairly nondescript box with a chicken head knob on here. There's a thing here that just holds a couple of fuses, but they're not connected to anything. And then 220, 110 volt switch, and it has these outputs here. There's another knob here which you can turn, and there's this output here which, if you turn it on, light shines out, and we'll look at this in a little bit. So I googled the company that makes this, and they seem to make endoscopy equipment. So this, I suppose, is a lamp that you plug your endoscope into. So it's some sort of 1980s medical device. And I suppose it's going to be interesting to look inside. So we'll turn it on first and we'll see what it does. So if you turn this to 1, you can hear there's a large fan coming up inside. And there's also light shining out here. And there's also air coming out. So it's obviously cooling down the lamp. And then there's this light port, and you can change between 2 lamps, I suppose. And from the feel of the switch, and you can feel something moving around inside if you turn this. I would say there's probably some sort of optic system in that just switches between the 2 lamps. And this knob here, it just turns up and down the intensity. And this might actually be relatively uncomplicated inside. It might just be a tap transformer and a fan and a mirror that you can sort of switch around. We'll see. So I'll try and get this open, and I'll do this off camera, and then once I have all the screws out, I'll pull the lid off on camera. Here we are about 20 minutes later, and this is among the things that are less fun to take apart. So what I had to do to get this open is there's 4 screws here that you can take out, and then this plate with the handles on it comes off. And then you can also take off this ring that's on the front here. You can hear some standoffs and stuff falling out of it now. And if you look in the back, you can see there's a big transformer in here, a power cord coming in, the wafer switch up here. Then you realize there's no way to get this box apart, so you have to slide out the chassis like this. But to do that, you have to get all the knobs loose. And since this sat in someone's shed for, 20 years, this was rusted completely solid. So I sprayed some penetrating oil on there, and then took a spanner and got it off there, which was quite a pain. I had to actually drill out one of these screws here because it just wouldn't come loose. And they're all these really soft, old, flat style screws that you can easily destroy. So, Next thing is probably to screw out this weird fuse holder-y type of thing. And the wafer switch you can probably just push in and then slide the chassis out. I don't know yet what to do about this bit here. Oh, it just pops down. Okay. Not actually concerned with saving the wafer switch or the chassis, the case for this, because this is not going to come back together after we're done. Oh, now it's, yeah. One last one here. So you actually have to take out every single screw that you can access from the outside to get it out. Compared to other older medical devices I took apart, this one is fairly hard to disassemble and not that service friendly, I'd have to say. Oh, so it was hanging on that bit. So that is broken now. Since this has no electrical connection to anything, and it's just a place to put your spare fuses. Not too worried about that. Why isn't it coming out though? Ugh. Oh, that is disgusting. So I'll just get rid of that. Yeah. Okay. I'll just brush this off camera. Okay, now we should be able to just slide this out. It was actually pushing against the remaining bit of this. It was sort of wedged in there. There's the reason it didn't come out before. Finally. Yeah, this was not fun to disassemble. I'll just put the rest of the case down here somewhere. Okay, so what do we have? Rust and I don't know, rat pee, probably. So, I've got a large transformer down here, and this wafer switch, and here's the fuse. And this probably also switches between the 110 windings and 220, and says 110, 220 on here. And the lamps, I suppose, are under here. Okay. So we've got a really, really big fan here. 220 volts with its motor capacitor right next to it. And the lamp switching arrangement is quite interesting because it just physically rotates 2 light bulbs in front of this port here. So I think it's quite interesting. And it's got a mirror back here, sort of mirrored lens, and I think this looks like it's just polished aluminium. What are these lamps? These are $15 volts, 150 watts. And if the camera would focus, you could actually see how thick the winding in these is. It's a solid, thick wire. So yeah, I expect this to be a little more interesting, at least from the optics side, but that's what this is. It's just a transformer, a fan, wafer switch, and these 2 lamps here that you can rotate in front of your output port. And I suppose you could put 2, are these actually 2 different lamps? No, they're both 150 watts, 15 volts. So I would imagine you'd have 2 different lamps in here. Or, I don't know, maybe this is for redundancy. If one burns out, you can just switch it to the other one. If you're mid-endoscopy or something, I don't know. So, but there's a lot of salvageable parts on here. I'll definitely take that transformer. I might even keep the wafer switch. I'm not sure. This fuse holdery thing is going to go in the bin. Same with this motor capacitor. Alright, I've got the whole thing apart now. And there's a couple things that I noticed while taking it apart that are interesting. So this is just a fan. There's nothing really interesting on there. Except for that it's still really, really good after all these years. I probably changed the motor capacitor though if I reuse this. On the transformer there's also not much to talk about. It's got 220, 110 in, and then just tapped outputs. So this is 0 and then it goes 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 15 or something like that. So I'll put this over to the side here. This is although a good transformer for reusing it. This lamp holder here is kind of interesting. So it's not a machined bit here. It is a lens that's held in by this little wire. It's not integral with this sort of guide block. And how it detects that which lamp it needs to be on is there's a little micro switch down there, and if you turn it around at this point it will switch on the other lamp like this. I don't know why though there's the same 2 lamps in there, but this might not be original. I don't know. And the most interesting bit is this wafer switch down here, because they've done something really clever with this. So in the completely off position that we currently are in, we have this switch depressed here, and this just switches off the fan and the lamp. So everything's off at the moment. And the tabs from the transformer go into these solder lugs here, and they are connected to these brass discs. And for every brass disc, there's one that's just plastic. As you can see, there's 2 of these levers here. Come down and contact these. So as you can see, the 0 position is not used because it's off anyway. So once you start turning this into the on position, the first lever to contact this brass plate here is this one. And what this does is, if you turn it like this, it releases this, so the lamp is now turned on and the fan comes on. But also the tap from the transformer is connected through this resistor here to the output that comes out here. It basically goes through this big brass ring here. The contact for this down under here. So what it does, it pre-warms the lamp through this resistor, and then once you turn it a little more, it will actually go into a notch and stay there. And now the second lever is connected, and it basically bypasses this resistor, and now the lamp is on full power. I think they do this to conserve the lamp, because if you switch it around, you would cool down and heat up the lamp all the time. Also, this will probably prevent the lamp from going dim while you switch it around. So this is fairly clever, actually. So you can see this is already connected while this is still on here, and then it sort of leaves this and switches over. Now it's only connected through this, and then it clicks into place here. So I think this is to don't push the lamp too hard that's in there, and also to make the transition a little smoother. But this is very clever. Might actually keep that wafer switch.